Hi, so we are back with another KK live chat. Nothing like lunch break talking about sex across LinkedIn for a start, the business platform, but this is business. We're joined by Patricia López Trabajo. I've had to practice saying that. Got it right. The CEO of Myhixle, which I'll get you to explain more, but an absolute revolution for men when it comes to improving their sex lives and premature ejaculation, and it's probably trailblazing when it comes to sex tech, because there's so much, even though women have always been that suppressed gender when it comes to our sexuality, it's actually there's a hell of a lot more sex tech for women out there than there is men. So just explain, because you'll do it way better than me, explain what Myhixle is, the whole ethos behind it.
Yeah, sure. Well, Myhixle, thanks for inviting me. It's a great pleasure. And Myhixle is a brand of male sexual well-being, where we offer products and services based on scientific research and for improving the sexual life of men and their partners. And our first products and solutions are aimed to premature ejaculation, because it's one of the main male sexual conditions, together with the erectile dysfunction. But because we are offering solutions not based on drugs and with no side effects, premature ejaculation was a field very more interesting in terms of creating an alternative to drugs.
And what because when I was reading it, 31%. It's a big number. 31% of men, is it 18 to 56 or something, suffer from premature ejaculation, which that's a lot. But on that, what a lot of men, because I've had this conversation with male friends and stuff, what is premature ejaculation? Like, how long are men meant to go for? I mean, you watch porn films and it looks like they should be going for an hour before they come. But explain more about premature ejaculation, what it is, the timing.
Yeah, so well, nowadays even professionals don't agree, like for a standard timing, but in general terms, if when ejaculation happens sooner than 2-3 minutes. A lot of professionals are saying that premature ejaculation is related not to time, but it's when ejaculation happens sooner than you want. So, but we had to define like a timing for creating our programs. And in the case of Myhixle, we have two different programs. Myhixle Med for men who ejaculate under 3 minutes of penetrative intercourse, and another program for those men that ejaculates in more than 3 minutes, but still want to control more and last longer. So the definition between 2-3 minutes should be like a good standard, but the concept of lasting longer is not. We are trying to share this kind of conversation, but to control, because controlling your climax can give you more self-confidence, regardless if you are lasting 1 minute, 4 minutes, 10 minutes, because it's up to you and your partner.
Because there is that. How much do you think porn has to play in the kind of misconception around, and that kind of mental stress that people have, male and women, when it comes to ejaculating and how long it should last? And I mean, most of the women I know are like, we don't want men to keep going and going and going. We get numb really quickly.
Yeah. Porn has a lot to do with this misconception of the duration of intercourse, or of intimate relationship, because of course, as you said, young generations nowadays have a very easy access to porn, and porn is not based on reality. As you said, most of women don't like to have like a very, very long penetration. And the reality is that the communication between the partner is essential, because we are not looking for porn actor in our bed. So we are brands like Myhixle and other brands are aiming to spread a different message, very normalizing the conversation, and to say that we are not expecting what men are and young men are watching on porn movies.
And on the what are the causes? You know, what are you finding, like the research you've done and stuff, especially in like modern day society, the causes for premature ejaculation or sexual dysfunction? What have you found as sort of the main reasons? There's there's a big mental health, issue when it comes to it as well.
In the case of premature ejaculation, it is a mix between psychological and physical. The physical reasons are related to bacterial prostatitis, but in most of the cases, the psychological part has a lot to do with this condition, because it affects self-esteem. And so you men who are struggling with controlling their climax are very affected psychologically. So the proposal that we have at Myhixle, it's a combination between a psychological therapy. Actually, it's a cognitive behavioral therapy, but at the same time that we are teaching men to control their body physically, because of course there are a lot of muscles, sphincters, pelvic floor that are involved in the process of ejaculation. So we are mixing the psychological and the physical part of the process.
Pretty clever, because there's not a lot of sex that doesn't have that. That you have the tech, but you don't have the off. How important do you think that is? The kind of, it's all right to have, and I always say tech is great. We live in a digital age. Most of our business is now digital. I hate digital, but it's kind of, that's the world we live in. So to me, it's a tool. So all our tech, all the digital we have at Killing Kittens, to me, enables people to have the tools to go offline and have the life when it comes to sex. It's sort of, and your how important do you think that is, as in when you have sex tech, when you're building it, to actually incorporate that, the offline, the importance of off tech when it comes to it?
Yes, well, in the case of premature ejaculation, as you said, 31% of men suffer from this condition, but another very important statistic is that 80% of them don't want to go to a physical consultation to a sexual health professional because they feel shame. So we partnered up with the Sexuality Institute, which develops like the whole methodology based on this cognitive behavioral therapy. But we didn't have patients because most of them were at their homes looking for solutions on the internet. And that's why we decided to translate the therapy that used to be offered in the physician office into a mobile app. So we applied different techniques of gamification, and it was very hard work in order to explain the whole therapy in a context that it is online. And in our case, we also design a specific device which accompanies the app and the program within the app, because we wanted to emulate the sensation of a real penetration, because it was demonstrated that men training their capacity of controlling climax in a very realistic environment, the results were were better than just performing the therapy alone. So in our case, of course, we had very clear that we needed the technology to create our solution, which is hardware and software. And now that we were on the market 1.5 years, and now we are designing like the new generation, we are working on implementing different technology in the app and the device. And what it's more important for us is to collect data, but at the same time maintaining privacy, because of course the data that we are treating are very sensitive. So in the first generation, we don't collect personal data at all. It's 100% anonymized, but we need that data, because we need to understand what our users are experiencing and feeling, what they are waiting to achieve. We need to understand the different patterns, and because in the field of sexual health, professionals don't have many tools to understand the behavior and the patterns of their clients, but the consultation and the feedback that they are getting, but it is a subjective feedback. So by implementing different kind of technology, for example, we will be able to measure the exact time of the duration, how many times they stop during the stimulation, what is the best angle to masturbate, the speed of the movements while masturbating. So there are several data that we can collect thanks to technology, and we want to provide this data to our sexual health professionals in order to have like better information, in order to create specific treatments and personalized treatments for our
and your data, like when you say, when people talk about sexual dysfunction, erectile dysfunction, often there's that psychological thing, and it's therapy, it's therapy that's needed to, and actually just listening to you speak, it's kind of, well, it's not the same. It's like, having 3 vagina babies, big ones. The LV came into my life, and it was retraining my pelvic floor to like be a bucket. So it to me, it's kind of, actually, you can, how much, how does it work? I'm seeing like a fleshlight combined with an LV for a man. So how do you explain?
I like to say that it is similar to LV. Actually, we are like the male LV, or at least the concept. It's very similar, because also, as far as I know, LV app contains like a training program for training the pelvic floor. So in terms of to compare a comparison between LV and Myhixle is kind of the very similar concept, because within the app, what you can find is different educational content created by sexual health professionals, because we were aware that men don't have very educational and knowledge about sexual health. For example, we explain how the male pelvic floor works during ejaculation, and we got like a huge number of feedback saying, I didn't know that I had a pelvic floor as a man.
Yeah, I didn't realize.
Yeah. So what you can find is different educational content, and then when the program starts, you can find 8 different stages with different exercises. Every level contains like a more difficult level, and men have to train their capacity of controlling climax in different situations, where every situation is provokes more arousal, so they can start controlling their body. They understand how their body works and which are the mechanisms involved in this process. And in every stage is even more difficult. So at the end of the program, they have learned to control, to decide when to climax. In the final stages of the programs are aim to emulate like a realistic penetration, because they have to move their pelvic floor. The device is fixed, and yes, in terms of comparison, we can say that we are very similar to LV. We are combining a training app with a device. In our case, because it's for men, it's a masturbator device. But if you commented that it's like a flashlight and LV
that was in my head. That was the picture in my head.
Of course, we're creating a male masturbator. So the top one brand of sale of male masturbators is Flashlight. But I think that it is important to clarify that this our device was designed by urologists and sex therapists, because we were not looking for a device for overstimulating, but to create a very realistic sensation of penetration. And that's why we decided to create an anatomical interior, or the device warms up to body temperature. And we also implemented a very specific vibration mode that, for example, we have some users that have experienced it before with other male masturbators from other brands with vibration patterns and so. And in our case, our vibration mode is very gentle and standard. So you don't have you cannot change and up and down, because this specific vibration mode was designed to help the glands to during penetration. So we are working the desensitization a little bit of the glands through this specific and fixed vibration pattern. So it's not like we were not creating like a male masturbator for having fun, but for complementing and combining with our therapy in order to get better results with the program.
And how on that, because that's it's not fun. So flashlight is not a dildo. It's having fun. There's no sort of medical side to it. And how important do you think? Because we've always, most of KK and the talks we have is all about normalizing the conversations around sex. But there's a big female stance a lot of the time, and the taboos that we have, and the shame and the guilt, and we haven't done. There's not a huge amount that we've done with the taboos with men. And what have you on that whole normalizing the conversations around sort of male sexual wellness, what would you say are the kind of the biggest taboos and the biggest sort of issues when it comes to men, and the importance of going to doctors or speaking to people?
Yeah, because I think that in the case of men, it's even worse, this kind of taboos and stigmas, because they feel shame. They don't want to share their concerns with a professional or even a friend. We have a lot of feedback or questions about the program and the product, saying it's not for me, it's for a friend of a friend, or they are not admitting that they are looking for a solution. That should be a very normal discussion, actually. And the reality is that 80% don't want to go to a professional. and we are trying to spread a very different message in order to normalize the conversation, to make men understand that struggling with a sexual condition, it's very normal. Most of people in our life struggle with a sexual condition at some point. We are creating products and services, and we are surrounded of sexual health professionals that we are working on providing with solutions, but we need to reach those people that are struggling and don't want to talk to anybody. So they don't have to feel shame. They have to communicate with their partner if they have. Nobody is Superman or Superwoman, and it's very important to understand also the sexual life from a holistic point of view, which means that we understand that sexual life is part of our sexual care, general health care. We are taking care of our skin, hair, nutrition, and sexual health should be part of all these, and everything is affected by the way that you feel in with your sexual life, and we have to eliminate these taboos and stigmas.
And that's just like normalizing. So we always say, normalizing the conversation around sex. I always say that, we should be able to sit there with friends and talk about the latest health trends, the new fitness regimes we're trying, and the new diets we're trying, and I'm also trying this for, I'm having issues sexually for this, but it's that, isn't it? It's just, you just got to keep talking about it as if it's not an issue. But how did you? I like stories. How did you get into it? I mean, what's your background? What drives you to do what you do now? Because there is so much stigma around when you work in sex. So,
well, I was working for Fleshlight, so it was where I touch base with all the male masturbator world, and I worked for Fleshlight for during 4 years in Europe. And so I started getting some feedback from wholesalers, distributors, attending congresses. So I start seeing that female brands started to change their approach, and creating not only based on technology, but also communication, marketing. I mean, all the messages were changing into more educational and related to health and wellness. And in the case of men, most of the products on the market were very, very oriented to porn, sex, and just pleasure. And I thought that it was very interesting to also create a brand with different products and solutions from the same angle that the female brands were building. And at that point, I thought that the most important thing is to accompany the brand with scientific research and with demonstrated results, because it's difficult to convince men to try a solution on the field of sexual health. So I knew that we needed to demonstrate what we were doing, and that's why I start talking to urologists, sex therapists, and also to understand what they thought about this kind of project, about creating a brand for working on products and solutions as an alternative for drug treatments, and they were more than willing to help me, and they were very interested on participating, on making researches with our prototypes and everything. So I thought that was the time to start creating this project. And nowadays we have conducted 4 medical studies. We have presented our studies in international medical congresses, in scientific journals, and we are working on creating new products for new sexual conditions. We have decided to focus on men because in the female side there are a lot of brands that are doing an amazing job.
Mm.
And I think that it is time to position ourselves as a pioneer and leading brand on the male side. So, but that's why I decided to start Myhixle, because I wanted brand that help men to feel comfortable with their sexual lives, and it is also a way to make more equal the relation between men and women. So eliminating that gap, that that cliche about that men need to satisfy women because they have to last longer and have erections for 2 hours on a row, doesn't make sense anymore.
Yeah, do you think it kind of, it helps with the conversation within couples? Do you think that's got better? Because a lot of time it you know, you hear about it from the women's point of view, just lie back and think of England, and you know, not say what you like and fake it. Do you think actually by doing what you do, it's actually opening up that, allowing more of that conversation of, so that it isn't taboo and there's no shame attached to it?
Yeah, sure. And actually, our next challenge is to become more inclusive with women, because sometimes men need that push of their female partners, maybe by buying Myhixle as a gift, or convince them to buy Myhixle or to go to a professional or whatever. But we believe, we really believe that women are making this sexual revolution, are leading this revolution, and of course, even in the male field, they can become the decision makers, and they have a very, very important role by also educating men, helping them to normalize the conversation, to start to communicate to their partners about their likings, and how they can face the issues they may have. So yes, of course, it's very, very important, and also women are have a very, very important role.
Yeah, with women, we've noticed, you know, the more women have opened up, the more actually men open up. It's that, with that, everything in society's happened like that, hasn't it? With the whole mindfulness and mental health, it's sort of, it's a lot more, it's okay to be vulnerable, it's okay to ask for help, it's okay to be emotional. And actually, you know, when you put that, which women are much better at normally, put that into the male sexual world, then it is that giving a bit of a nudge to go, do you know what? You know, there's nothing wrong with you. I remember it happened to me once with a guy who just couldn't get up at all, and he decided to tell me it was my fault for being too opinionated. So it is that, isn't it? Trying to just have conversations that it's okay. And where do you think what's like the future of sex tech when it comes to male issues? Like, where do you see it going?
Well, in our case, or in the male sexual field, I think the future is related to tech and science. by combining or by yes, by using the tech novelties in order to get data, for using that data for improving our researches, our product, our services, is future, because we are creating tools for professionals. I mean, of course, we are aware that there are a huge amount of men that are not feeling comfortable um, and going to a physician office, but at least we have to create through technology different alternatives, not only for these clients but also for professionals, because I'm very confident that in the coming years we can help in eliminating this taboo, so more men, little by little, will be more open mind to this new world, and we have to understand what they need, and we have to provide with solution based on technology.
And it helps. I don't know how you feel, but I like to get away from pharma. I don't like taking drugs for anything. I don't like taking headache pills unless I can literally not see anything in front of my eyes. It's getting away, isn't it, from that just take a pill, that quick fix. You know what I mean? You've got an erectile dysfunction, you've got something wrong, take a pill. If you've got mental health issue, take a pill. Actually, it kind of, what you're doing with the CBT therapy involved is you're taking personal responsibility rather than expecting a drug to fall from the sky and fix
Yeah, so
the issue.
and I can say that I attended last year Congress of the European Congress of Sexual Health in Prague before COVID-19. So it was in, yes, February, I think, 2020. And I was delighted because it was full of sexual health professionals, and the um, uh, the most crowded workshop was the sex toys and how to use them in therapy. And it was crowded, and it was very successful. And also, I attended different workshops in the same Congress where there were two positions. The one who were defending the use of drugs, and the opposite was those were who were defending the use of alternative therapies. And after the discussion, public had to vote through an app. And in every single workshops that I attended, the option that alternative treatment won. So that means that professionals are looking for alternatives to drugs, because in sexual health, drugs has a lot of side effects, and through science, technology, and the help of professionals, I think that we can create like a huge portfolio of alternatives, and I think that should be the future of sexual health.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, responsible sex tech and
Yeah.
sexual health, and that's the thing, isn't it? It's like taking that control into your hands. So if you want to fix it, you fix it yourself. Look at the
Yeah.
core, look at the root core. Don't be lazy. So but yeah, before you go, just quickly, if your like 18-year-old self was sat here, knowing what you do now and doing what you do, what would be your like one bit of advice to her?
Well, I think that it's well, I studied tourism, so you can imagine that I didn't have nothing to do with Myhixle and what we are creating now. But I should highly recommend to be creative, to don't give up your ideas, to keep going, and because in the field of sexual and sex tech projects, we have a lot of closed doors, and we have to fight, and we cannot give up. So yes, my advice should be in terms of not giving up and fight for what is our right. And we have to eliminate also these kind of barriers, because we are, even if we are a male sexual brand, we are struggling with the marketing issues that other female brands are experiencing, that we cannot advertise our products on the internet, on social media, and I think that it is something that we have to fight.
Oh yeah, big time. I know that. That's why we're doing this chat on here, because of Instagram shutting us down last September. So we decided to stream it across every other platform at the same time on a lunchtime and see how quickly we get blocked by another platform. But for the moment, it's working. So thank you very much for coming on and chatting. Myhixle, we'll put all the info up on the description of the videos if anyone wants to look further. But yeah, thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting